Do you remember when Dead Men wanted to take our BB and like whatever came of that? When he was like in love with BB?
Yeah. Haha, I guess he loves me more now.
Yeah,
and then he left the story.
Didn't BB have his memories erased, but it didn't seem like that ever actually happened?
Yeah.
Because BB seems like he remembers us.
It's like, oh no, he forgot, but then... because there's the element of like, almost immediately after that, he just went back to remembering his own dad again, and I'm like, okay, then I think he just remembers everything then, because we're experiencing his memories of his dad again and stuff.
Yeah, so obviously he's still, you know...
Yeah. Which... I guess we still have to resolve that too, right?
Yeah, like what is that whole situation?
Yeah, because like that did feel like the final boss fight, and we're getting to the final zone that felt like it'd be the last area because we're going all the way west. So I kind of thought the game would end there, but there's like a bunch of threads to still resolve. And we'll see if they do. Is Lou better now?
Oh, he's got a freaking crack in his thingy. What, yeah, but leaking.
Maybe he slept it off. I just look over this and just an empty. There's just an empty. Like I look over there, and the bottle's completely drained. There's just a dead baby in it. Not floating anymore because it's like, well, that was the only wrong answer, Sam. Why did you do that? Why did you just sleep for 8 hours while BB was leaking?
We had duct tape. You could just duct tape.
Yeah.
No. We had Flex Seal. You could have Flex Sealed that.
Flex tape.
Flex tape. Yeah. Slap it on there.
Is your baby leaking? Try to
slap it on.
It can fix anything. We saw this baby in half.
And then we saw if it floated. And it did. Flex tape.
Flex tape. Dead baby jokes. Circa 2000. We're back.
I remember those.
It's been 20 years. We're back, baby.
Not gonna lie and say I didn't participate.
Oh, bullet hole's still there. He's 100% zinc though, so I guess that means he's fine.
Baby, go good.
Can you like transfer him to a new jar?
Baby, I love you.
Lou looks happy, despite the constant threat of his impending doom.
Okay. Oh, you got a statue.
Ha 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 ha. Wait.
What?
That's just a lot of bulge.
Yeah, I don't remember him having that much bulge.
No, I don't remember there being a bulge.
That's gratuitous. Thank you.
Thank you. There's the gas bags, leather brains. Just like in one of my Japanese animes. Those are all going up. Almost like they fucked up at printing it or something, like the mold.
It does look like that, but that's kind of he was like oozing up into the sky.
Yeah,
so.
It's the kind of thing you get if you mold the whole thing and you hang it by its feet while it's drying, and then like it'll have like these tendrils of like drying whatever, and then it'll just stay like that, and then you flip it back over, and that's just what it looks like now. Because they're all even facing the same direction, like it was hanging from like upside down while it was drying.
It does look like that.
Doop. Where are my other creatures? They never showed up. This is a ripoff. Yeah, they're just not here.
What other creatures? The big whale thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big whale thing was
Where
cool.
are my whales? Did I not fight them correctly or something? Did I need to fight them better?
I guess you didn't kill them? But you didn't kill the tiger, the lions either, right?
I think I ran away, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
And here they are. We did it. We beat the game. Or the world. We beat the world. Oh god. We've picked a name.
Wait, is this the...
Our son's in good health.
Who? Wait, I forgot about this.
Oh, they're on the mountain. Yeah, because there was a birth.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. What is
We're
the
gonna name
name?
him Sam.
Is that what they said?
Yeah. Chronicles of Aaron, Chapter 3. I can go fuck myself. Saving the world is bullshit, says the geologist.
Whoa, you nihilist.
Whoa.
Nothing matters, man. I'm edgy.
What is this? I've taken the liberty of jotting down a few observations for you, Sam. Go ahead and have a read if you got a minute. Spent years researching the Death Stranding, trying to unravel its mysteries for the sake of humanity. Not Hartman, though. All he does is head to the beach in search of his dead family.
Ew.
He doesn't care about what happens to the human race. He told me as much. What a fucking asshole, I thought. All that talent. No, he's not like other people. No one else has to deal with a 24-minute life cycle or the constant dreams of destruction. Putting himself first is probably the only way he could deal with this shit. Thinking face. Doing stuff for the sake of humanity, saving the world. It's all a little bull. A nice name for a horrible concept. Remember when people used to kill for their tribes, their countries? This is no different. Can't believe it took a bout of chiral contamination for me to work that out. What?
You know what?
Wait, did he just decide the concept of saving the world is bullshit just because Hartman's obsessed with his family?
That's
Did I read that right?
Yeah, just because one person has different goals than
what
you.
What about me, asshole? You're complaining to me, and I'm like, I'm the one that's doing all this. Like,
Sam's the freaking he's the beast of burden over here.
Admittedly, they somewhat contaminated the narrative by then making it about my sister. So maybe I am just trying to save my family too, and no one cares about the world.
Is she really even your sister, dude?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll read this.
They gave me a star.
Or I'll read whatever one you want to read next.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my god.
Finally got the whole thing hooked up. Mr. Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver.
Everyone's congratulating me that I did it. You did it. Look at all of our memorable characters. Remember me? I'm also other guy. Wow.
I don't remember.
It's also me.
I remember him because he was like the least annoying.
Philip North.
He didn't talk too much, which is why I liked him.
Which one? That
him,
guy?
yeah, William Lake.
Yeah, he was like, hey.
He's like, good
Thanks.
job, bye. And I was like, I love you, thank you, because I only want people to talk to me like that.
How many of these are there? There's new ones somewhere in here. Oh god, it takes a while. Mark all as red.
If my dog died, I'd go to the beach to find her, and I would say, screw humanity, and I wouldn't help any of you all. I'd be just like Hartman. Huh, Kiki?
I'm worried. How many do we have to go?
I go to the beach for you.
44. Still 44 interviews.
Oh goodness.
Human sacrifices under London Bridge.
I want that one. Okay. Human sacrifices under London Bridge. Oh, remember she was singing the London Bridge song? I wonder if that has anything to do with this.
My fair lady.
I hate that song. Anyways, before I joined Bridges, I watched an old movie called My Fair Lady. It's about a flower girl. Oh, I know this movie. It's very famous, based on the myth Pygmalion, which is an old myth. It's about a flower girl, Eliza, a real cockney from old London. She meets this professor, and he trains her to speak and act like a high-class lady. Anyway, I heard that My Fair Lady might have something to do with London Bridge. You know that song, right? They start out trying to build it back up with wood and clay, and they finish with gold and silver. I don't know that's how the song went at all. I don't know the song, obviously.
Let's Google the London Bridges song. Keep reading.
There was a reading of that film that said Eliza symbolized the bridge, or something along those lines. But that reminds me of a far more sinister theory, that the fair lady in that song is actually an immurement, a sacrifice buried alive in the foundations of the bridge to keep it standing. Oh, God only knows if there's any truth to it. Oh, and have you seen The Shape of Water? Of course I have, because you made that movie, dude. Way to reference your own stuff.
He's literally the director of that movie.
He is, and I love that movie.
I haven't seen it.
It makes me cry. It's in the movie with a heroine named Eliza. I didn't realize there was a connection there. But this Eliza can't speak. She's mute. And it's not about teaching the girl to behave properly. It's just a old-fashioned love story about a fish monster and a girl, and it's so hot.
I didn't realize that there was a connection between Shape of Water and London Bridges. That's crazy. It was me, the director.
He's even saying.
I mean, I imagine
he's even saying that there isn't. He's just saying that they have the same name, the character. If you get the chance, you should definitely check it out. Promoting my own fucking thing. I love you. I love that movie.
So London Bridge is falling down. My friend Taylor saw that movie.
We both cried and cried.
The usual stuff. Build it up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Wood and clay will wash away, wash away. Build it up with bricks and mortar.
That doesn't flow very well.
Bricks and mortar will not stay. Build it up with iron and steel. Iron and steel will bend and bow. Bow. Build it up with silver and gold. Silver and gold will be stolen away. Set a man to watch all night, watch all night, watch all night. Suppose the man should fall asleep. Give him a pipe and smoke all night. Is that just the whole song?
That's okay. All right.
So they're gonna build it out of silver and gold because everything else will not work, and then they have to just make somebody to watch it, I guess. And then the song runs out of lyrics, I guess. I guess it just ends.
I feel like it's one of those songs that doesn't really have a real. I think it's just it's something to sing for a long enough period of time for a kid to be entertained.
Yeah, it just has a few phases. 99 balls.
Well, yeah.
Just keep going as long
So
as
My
possible.
Fair Lady's a really good movie, and it has what's her face from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I haven't seen it.
Old actress, one of the most famous, Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, it's got Audrey Hepburn. I hate that movie's really upsetting though, because it has like a terrible moral. Because the whole point is that they take this girl off the streets and they make her like a beautiful woman, and they teach her how to be a proper lady, and they teach her how to speak with like a correct accent, and they change everything about her, and then at the end they fall in love with her because she's good now. But then she like denies. She's kind of like, screw you guys. But at the end she ends up with one of them. But it's kind of a fucked up story.
Yeah.
The original one is about a guy who he's a sculptor, and he sculpts a sculpture of a woman, but he falls in love with it, and it's something about the whole point is it's about shaping a person to be what you want them to be.
Shaping water, because people are mostly water.
I don't think Shape of Water has nothing to do with this at all. It's actually a really good movie.
No.
But My Fair Lady is a really good movie, but it has a kind of a troubling moral to it. It's a little upsetting.
Yay.
But anyways,
I need to revisit the Frankenbass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie.
what makes you think of that?
Because like I have like this tinge in the back of my head of like, oh no, this was troubling, and I need to go back to it to remind myself what it was, because I feel like there was like a takeaway from that was also like this is worrying.
I want to be a dentist. My dad won't let me be a dentist. He says I have to be an elf. Oh well.
I definitely remember being worried that they rip all the teeth out of that creature. Well, and it's horrifying.
There's a part where they're kind of like, he's like the women stay behind or whatever. Like, oh, this is a man's job. There's like Rudolph's dad's an asshole. I remember that. And then Santa's kind of an asshole too. But it's okay. I mean,
and the elf's an asshole.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying I don't. I forgive things from other time periods. It's fine.
Isn't My Fair Lady from another time period?
Yeah, and I forgive it. That's what I'm saying. It's a good movie, and I enjoy watching it. It's actually like a really good. It's beautiful to look at, and I think there's musical numbers in it. It's actually really good. Audrey Hepburn's amazing, but it's troubling. As a woman, I'm like, that's not cool. It's kind of like the end. It's kind of like the end of Grease, where she gets all cool and hip and starts smoking cigarettes to impress him, and all he does is put on a Letterman's jacket, and then apparently it's supposed to be equivalent. She like changes her whole life, and he's like, I'm a jock, I guess now.
Wow. We've
changed for each other. But it's like, she did way more than you did, fool.
I think that's just how reality works too.
What, women have to try harder?
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it seems to be the case.
I don't know, man. I don't try very hard.
You've literally been like, I don't want to record face cam today. I need to put my face on.
Oh, well, I don't want to scare you all.
That's effort. That's a lot of effort.
Yeah, but I do it for myself. I guess that's my own personal issues.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's also the...
I guess that's my own personal issues I've derived from a society teaching me something over many years of my life.
Yeah, there's elements in all directions there, because it's just also like, yeah, like, because the people do it for themselves too, and it's hard to unpack why. Like,
that's why I might be a bad feminist.
If the origin might be this or that or what, because it's like I'm putting on my battle face, my war paint.
I call it my war paint.
Yeah. That whole thing.
But I just do it because I want to look good to myself. But I guess the fact that like I would feel that way is like, or what I perceive to be attractive is something that society's taught me. But I do it to be attracted to myself mainly. But whatever.
BTs and void outs. We're just now getting to the subject. We're good at this.
Sorry, y'all.
So deep down this list. The following conclusions are largely derived from a handful of eyewitness accounts. While I would advise anyone to take them with a grain of salt, I still believe they are worth saying. BTs pursue their prey through a multi-step process. In the first, they begin searching for a target. The handprints left behind is evidence of this behavior. Upon detection, one or more BTs will attempt to seize their target and drag it towards a much larger entity. To clarify, however, a void-out does not occur at the point of contact between Giant and the human, but only once the human has been subsumed into the Giant's body. We think this may be because this is the only place where antimatter is present within the entity. It goes without saying that BTs are entirely different from any creature that is of this world, and we have much to learn about them still. One thing is for certain, however, we must come to understand them, else we may never overcome the existential threat that they pose. Should we just binge?
Binge?
And just clear this out?
Do you think, will people hate us if we do that?
I could do like a podcast episode that's just us reading the emails, the interviews.
Yeah.
And it's just like, here it is. Skip the whole episode if you don't want it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that.
Because we kind of want to get through them, but with like the game's running out. And there's never been a good way to pace it. I had the same thing in Metal Gear Solid 5 where like I was trying to periodically get to the cassettes, and then it was just like, fuck man, there's just like 100 more. Like I had entire dedicated episodes of just binging through the cassettes because there was too many of them. There's like an hour of two guys talking about making burgers. It's like and it's like an allegory for like international trade or something. But it's like,
what? Oh goodness.
Kojima's fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, he is.
Neanderthals are not extinct. All right, take it away.
Okay. I feel like that sounds like an insult to like you're a Neanderthal. Obviously, they're
you.
not
That's
extinct.
why you're so strong.
Yeah.
Sam, the final Neanderthal.
Maybe. Both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens are believed to share a common ancestor in the form of Homo, oh my gosh, heidelbergensis. But there are clear differences between the two. Neanderthals are brutish and brawny, well equipped to hunt larger animals and survive in colder climates, whereas Homo sapiens are slender-limbed and only capable of hunting smaller prey. But as millennia passed, Homo sapiens learned to create tools and hunt in packs. The Neanderthals who actually had larger brains than the Homo sapiens.
Hard larger.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Hard larger.
Typo.
Right. Yeah.
Also fashioned tools of their own. But these were crude in comparison and developed little over 200,000 years, perhaps because these simple-minded beings favored small family units. Oh my gosh, small family units, so that even if breakthrough occurred, it was unlikely to be shared with others. This isolation, more than any other factor, seems to have led to their decline. Homo sapiens, meanwhile, conceived a religion, with which large numbers of individuals could be bound together in service to a common cause. Strength in numbers also made their communities more resistant to famine and other calamities. In other words, Homo sapiens grew stronger through interpersonal connections, by creating what came to be called society. If we persist in our divided state, we risk losing this hard-won unity and dooming ourselves to the Neanderthal's fate. We will dwindle and die, apart and alone. But history holds another intriguing lesson. Homo sapiens did not disdain Neanderthals. The two species even intermingled on occasion. Our DNA retains vestiges of our ancient cousins even now. So you see, while a species itself may disappear, its genetic legacy may yet endure.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Humans, Neanderthals intermixed.
Yeah, there are some people who have more Neanderthal DNA.
Kind of not extinct. Which also kind of makes them not their own species. Based on, I'm not a biologist, so I have a shitty understanding, but I thought the whole basis was you become a separate species once you can't interbreed.
Yeah, usually.
Like that's why dogs aren't separate species.
Yeah, I think
they're more different than we are from Neanderthals, at least cosmetically.
That's one of the most concrete, definitions I've heard of species.
Yeah, so the idea that we can intermix with Neanderthals throws into question the whole premise that they're even a different species as opposed to just another race.
But there are some very questionable. So donkeys and mules, and then tigers and lions. There's certain animals that can technically fuck each other and produce
but their offspring can't reproduce.
Oh, I think. You know what? I think that's a part of it too. I think they have to.
Their offspring have to also produce. Yeah, because
they have to be genetically successful.
Yeah, a horse and a donkey can make a mule, but the mule is infertile.
Yeah.
You have to keep recreating these hybrids forever if you want to have them around every generation, because they can't they can't self-sustain because they won't have offspring with each other.
There are some dogs that can't reproduce only because of their differences in size, which is.
I mean, that's still
Even
I was gonna say you could like hack that, but then I think that
no, I think some of them won't live.
There might be a birth problem.
There usually is, but although I mean you can put the smaller
in the bigger.
Yeah. But
Make
I think
sure the female's the larger. Otherwise, there might be a very dangerous
situation.
Alien birth
That's
where the mother explodes.
As a woman, that concept scares me. That sounds terrible.
We need to watch Extra.
Oh, uh-oh.
That's one of the most horrifying versions of that idea. I think it has a scene where a woman just gives birth to a full-size man.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, oh, no.
Oh, goodness. That ain't ever going back to normal.
Hartman's theory of evolution. I'm glad we're just making up new ones. Seems to be what we do all game anyway. The evolution of life on Earth could be described as the evolution of consciousness. When the first vertebrates clambered out of the oceans and onto the land, their consciousness expanded to process the new realm that lay before them. But their development did not end there. Their eyes moved from their flanks to their fronts, that they might comprehend the depth of the world. Mammals formed groups, increasing the chances of survival. Eventually they came together in communities, and then larger societies, in order to preserve and maintain these structures. Humans developed a perception of time, and in order for societies to outlast the lifespan of the individual, we conceived of an afterlife, and a future beyond ourselves. Alas, the Death Stranding threatens to undo all our progress. Consider the chiral network, which incorporates the beach, where time does not exist. Or consider timefall, which rapidly accelerates the degeneration of that which it comes to contact with. How can our sense of time, honed over millions of years, remain intact when we must cope with such irrational phenomena? Yet this is the tip of the proverbial iceberg. We are growing apart, retreating into isolation, gradually losing our place within society. I would even go so far as to say our conceptions of reality are under threat. How could they not be, when our very eyes deny the invisible BT that stands before us? The Stranding has warped our consciousness in every sense. If the evolution of life on Earth is akin to the evolution of consciousness, then what is happening now is undeniably a regression, is it not? There is one caveat, of course. Some of us are now far more aware of death than we ever were. This is what Dooms has given us. For me, therefore, Dooms is not merely a biological change. I prefer to think of it as the means by which I have achieved a new form of consciousness. Furthermore, I hope to believe that this new awareness on the other side of humanity's trump card as we seek to defeat the Death Stranding.
I feel, three things. One, I feel weird that people still use the term trump card.
Yeah.
That is like derived of Donald Trump, right? Isn't that the origin of that
think so.
term? No, is it not?
I thought
for sure it was like, just was that, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. Because they don't capitalize
God, stop being so wrong about everything.
I can't help
card
it.
Origin. I think it's way older. Early 16th century.
Oh, cool. Of Triumph. It's okay. Okay, I feel better now. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, it's from Triumph.
Triumph. I don't know. I just always thought it was like
that's
specific.
the origin of the word Trump, not Trump card.
Well, but Triumph is a card game, right?
No, that's just the word Trump comes from the word triumph.
Yeah, but that's an Italian playing cards. Triumph is a playing cards. So Trump card makes sense because it's Triumph card.
A trump is a playing card which is elevated above its usual rank in trick-taking games.
Mm-hmm. Like in the game.
Yeah, it's old as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he just has a pretentious name.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that
self-important,
that worked out for
name.
It worked out for him personally. I was also going to say.
Oh yeah, it's also not his real name.
Is it not?
No, he named himself Trump.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
His name's Drumpf.
What?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. No, he's that self-important. He named himself Trump, then put the name Trump on everything. just to fucking masturbate over his own importance, basically.
Wow.
That's the kind of person he is. He's a Disney figure, except dumber and less inspiring.
Well, I mean, there's some. Yeah, I don't know.
Disney was a shithead in a few different ways, but he was inspiring in a lot of ways.
No,
Trump is not.
Yeah, I think Disney was a Disney was worth it.
Yeah.
I think everyone has contributions and negations to their existence on Earth, and Disney was a plus. So
Yeah.
I don't know. In total, once you calculate it all out.
I wonder if he would approve of the shit that's happening in his name now.
That's the thing, is I always feel bad because I don't think
a lot of the distressing stuff, like the constant copyright changes. Like I don't think he lived long enough for the copyright limit to come up.
I think he was a creative
Mickey.
Man, and I think a lot of this stuff happened after
He literally
was dead.
died before they even started production on his second park.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna make a second park now. Dead.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Like there was a panic.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this isn't his fault. But anyways, yeah. Any other comments on this one?
Oh yeah, I want to.
Besides me just ranting about.
I want to comment on how I think the Death Stranding is the internet. Even though there's like a mixed metaphor that's messy here because
There's a million things in it.
well, we're kind of also making the internet to solve the Death Stranding, which is the confusing part. But I think the Death Stranding is supposed to be an element of the internet itself, and the idea that it's causing people to get more and more isolated and never leave, and like they're all separating and they're all like everyone, like the hermit aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Like the way that I'm in this room all the time forever because I work on the internet and those elements. And I base that somewhat on the fact that at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, Kojima predicted the internet. Not that existence of the internet, because it already existed, but I mean like what the internet was going to do to society. At the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, not only does he just straight up talk about memes constantly in fucking like 2002 or something.
I was gonna say,
like way too early.
I thought that was in Revengeance.
No, that happens a lot in Revengeance, but that's not relevant as much because it already was around. But no, like I'll show you a thing about Metal Gear Solid 2 sometime.
The memes.
But they keep saying memes in Metal Gear Solid 2, which was like the year 2000 or something.
Yeah, but
and
was
he
it
talked.
Charles Dawkins did he already coin the term memetics? Because that's where that came from.
But the specific thing is that he talks about how like people are going to use the internet to retreat into more and more secluded and isolated communities where they become more and more radicalized and severe and so on. Like he predicted like how like 4chan and Reddit and Tumblr and all these different elements of the internet were going to work and how they would radicalize people and make them more and more like the whole like this video will make you angry premise where you're just talking about the concept of a fictionalized concept of other people essentially and like all those elements. And like he predicted that sort of element of like social isolation that was going to come from the internet in really specific terms at the end of a game from 20 years ago when the internet was not even in 2.0 mode yet, I don't think. And it was like fucking game facts and GeoCities. Like everyone has like, it was basically just MySpace pages. It was like what we had. I'll have to go revisit that sometime because it was like really specific. And so, but the fact that he previously already covered this kind of thing makes me think that's what he's going for with like this game where everybody is in a weird little bunker and they won't go outside and won't interact with people and so on.
Well, I always felt that with, and then you have like the elderly hermit guy who refuses to connect to the network because that's obviously like that is comparable to people now who might be a little bit older who also are fearful of the internet.
No, Kiki.
It's just like
keep climbing.
Sorry.
Come on.
My dog's
Kiki, you can't come up here.
Desperate.
You can't come up here. You're gonna get right on the microphone.
I mean, obviously, with the whole like connecting people to the network, it's obvious you're doing like a physical task that is in our world more intangible.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense.
But if the Death Stranding is supposed to be the consequences of like the internet and radicalization on a people that could have been united otherwise, it really mixes the metaphor. Then also make it about mixing my goal being connecting a network. But that's there's 100 mixed metaphors because they keep double dipping on everything like umbilical cords, and it's like
well, it's hard. It would be hard to say if he has positive feelings or negative feelings about the internet because that is obviously what you're actually doing. Your positive action is connecting people via this thing that's obviously a metaphor for the internet. But at the same time, maybe he's like everyone else where he has mixed feelings about the internet in the sense where you can use it as a tool for isolation, or you can use it as a tool for connectivity, because that's actually what the internet is for us in real life.
We just need to hands across America.
It depends on how you do it.
Let's all hands across America.
I love that movie.
Us?
Yes. or like that Junjito one where they sew everyone together.
Yay! Connection.
I always forget the name of it. That's like one of my
connection.
It's one of my favorite ones where they all sew each other together because they're lonely.
That's probably...
They sew their bodies together because they're lonely. It's so beautiful.
That might be in Shiver.
I love that one.
I think I have that one.
It's interesting
It's probably in the older collection.
It's interesting for me to know Keith because, like, I'm obviously not an internet savvy person. Well, I'm not a computer savvy person, as you all know. I'm very much like a salt of the earth kind of person. But it's really interesting to me hearing you talk about some things, only in the sense that,
like, what the discourse is online.
I can't believe
and you're like, what the fuck are people talking about?
It gets me very frustrated because I can't believe how disconnected a lot of these people on the internet are, and then also how like in depth a lot of these things go, as opposed to how simple they could be if people just talk to each other.
Yeah.
As human beings and just worked things out. This sort of like weird, like, there's like this like microcosm of like self-labeling and like over analytical back and forths. Like it's insane.
Yeah, the
like, you guys all just need to, like, a lot of these people
the
just need to
terminology
fucking
just keeps like evolving,
see each other
and
in person and talk and look at each other's faces and talk to each other, and maybe they'll actually be able to understand each other's opinions.
I learn a lot of new words on a regular basis.
Yeah, but they're not words I think you don't need all these words for these different things. Just talk to each other. I don't know.
They all hyper specific.
Why do you have I don't know. It's a whole thing. I'm afraid of the internet. but then sometimes it's like, yeah, it's like, it's interesting that and then Keith has all this knowledge on things that I'm completely unaware exist. But then, like, at the same time, you have to like remember that like the majority of the people you encounter in real life aren't these people, and so it's weird to talk to someone who doesn't deal with the same people I have to deal with on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Like, our demographic of interaction is completely separate. Like a while back you were saying something that was like, yeah, most people know this thing that's like pretty intelligent, and I'm like, I think you like no, because you just talk to people who have the same interests as you, because you have this you have like a platform, and so you attract people with similar, like, a lot of times like have a similar perspective. And so if anything, sometimes I feel like that can negate people's ability to gain perspective, because they're not exposed to people with they're not as forced to deal with people with opposite perspectives if they don't want to.
Nothing drags you back like Thanksgiving.
See, but think of Thanksgiving, but like every day.
Yeah.
Like I deal with people who are completely intolerable to me on a regular basis, but I'm forced to listen to them, and I have to understand why they are the way they are. I can't ignore them or like go to a different chat room or something. I have to talk to them, and I do every day. Like,
hooray.
Lots of people. If anything, it's made me very like very tolerant and patient. Maybe.
Gotta be patient for this dog. Hi.
Hi, Kiki.
Umbilical cords in Devonian-era fossils. An article from an old scientific journal was recently brought to my attention. It predates the Death Stranding and concerns the discovery of a 308 million-year-old fossil, one from the Devonian era, to give the period its proper name. It was a fossil of a fish, and in its womb was a child connected to its mother by an umbilical cord, no less. The species? Materpices attenboroi. David Attenborough? Is that
yes?
Is that why it's named that? Like, because a lot of things get named after discoverers or people. They name it after like a celebrity or some shit.
There's a David Bowie spider.
Isn't David Attenborough like a announcer person on like BBC or something?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I just know that, like, there's a David Bowie spider, and if you guys get a chance to look it up, because he's really cute.
Oh yeah, David Attenborough, autocompleted David Attenborough documentaries. He's alive at 93.
Oh.
He's still around. He's a historian.
He looks like a sweetie pie. It could be named after him for all I know.
That is a unwieldy and also weirdly specific second word in that name.
Well, I mean, that could be a very common last name, you know.
Master Pisces Attenborough. It's a placoderm. an extinct species of armored marine creatures that used to live. That sounds kind of productive to being able to move around. Used to live in seas the world over. Unfortunately, most were wiped out during the Devonian era, right around the time of the second of the Big Five, in fact. As you may be aware, one of the key foci of my research is the link between creatures with umbilical cords and mass extinctions. Once this area is connected to the chiral network, it is my hope that we will be able to piece together more data that will help us learn about the link between umbilical cords and the Death Stranding. I'm not really interested in the historical, like the fossil umbilical cords narratives.
No, because I've already like
much else.
Yeah. Armored fish still exist. You have like horseshoe crabs. Are they?
Yeah.
Fish? They're not fish.
Crabs are neat though.
But I have like armored catfish.
It's an entire animal that just lives under a bowl. It's like you trapped a mouse under a bowl and it just slowly slides around. But that's its life. Its whole life.
I feel bad for them because
being a bowl creature.
They get flipped over a lot, and people don't flip them back over because they're afraid of them because they're scary looking underneath. And so they have to do these.
There's like a bunch of legs going.
Yeah, they have to do like these campaigns. People do these campaigns where they say, if you see them, please flip them back over. Please do, please do. They do campaigns to make the public aware that they're not dangerous and that you should flip them back over because they'll dry out. But people don't do it because they're so scared of them because they're ugly and they don't mean to be. It's not their fault.
It's just like 10 skittery little legs.
They're not mean. They won't do anything to you. Just flip them back over. People are afraid to touch.
They also sap blood out of them.
Who does? People?
So there was a.
Some people eat them.
Was that Radiolab? I should source this so people can look forward into it. Blue blood horseshoe crab podcast. Oh yeah, it was Radiolab. The baby blue blood drive. That was Radiolab. Their blood is useful for like making I think it was for particular kinds of medicines and stuff like that. So they actually like capture horseshoe crabs and they bleed them in these big distressing areas where they're bleeding them like where you would milk cows.
Oh.
And they have blue blood.
Oh.
And they try
That's beautiful.
And there's like they make an attempt to like sap a specific amount of it so that they can then like release them back out, and they just regrow their blood and they don't just die.
Oh, that's really
but
sweet.
There are some casualties every time, but they used to not care at all, I think, and they used to just drain them and then just take it and like fishing, but they realize they need to like preserve the population and all that. But like that's like horseshoe crabs have a specific value in our society for our medicines and stuff like that, and there's some extended Radiolab that goes into that.
Well, and they're just
I used
nice
to listen
animals.
to a lot more podcasts when I had a job.
I listen to NPR a lot. My job, but
Yeah.
Anyways, I love horseshoe crabs.
I think Radiolab is an extension of some element of NPR or WNYC Studios.
It probably
or something.
is.
It's some big network thing.
But I'm gonna read about Bridgmanite.
Bridgmanite.
Is this? That's not real.
Let's find out because it's hilarious.
Okay. Bridgmanite.
Bridgmanite is a high-pressure polymorph of enstenite.
All right, it's real.
Enstatite.
Yeah. Okay.
But in the Earth, it predominantly forms along ferropericlase, the decomposition of ringwoodite, approximately 600 kilometer depth. Yeah, it's a real mineral.
Bridgmanite is a mineral found in the lower part of the Earth's mantle. It was named in honor of the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Percy Williams Bridgman. Bridgmanite comprises 38% of the Earth, but because it is only found deep beneath the surface, it is very difficult to acquire any samples for analysis. As luck would have it, however, a material with the same properties was discovered inside a meteorite, before the Death Stranding, of course, meaning that a certain amount of research has already been conducted into this mysterious mineral.
Simultaneously discovering the same thing. It's like, oh look, it's the 10-ham meteorite.
After a fashion. That's a weird tagline. From this, the theory has been advanced positioning that Bridgmanite contains a certain amount of chiralium that was absorbed into the mineral at the moment of the Earth's creation. If this theory is true, then it may give some way to explaining the curious tar that has been observed to bubble up from the below ground. Furthermore, if chiralium does indeed come from the other side as we suspect, then it would allow Well, it would follow that it has been linked to ours from the very beginning. In essence, the heart of the planet could be likened to the world of the dead. How appropriate, given that chiral clouds bind us to the surface forevermore. None may ascend to heaven when they die, for our final destination lies beneath our feet, ashes to ashes, as they say.
Damn,
dark shit.
That went places. So the 38% of the Earth is made of a mineral that may contain corellium, evidently.
Yeah.
And that's where the tar comes from. It just kind of comes up. I don't know. Attempts to explain this in scientific terms are super iffy.
Yeah.
Like, you know the part where you get grabbed by scary hands and then a tar whale attacks you and the Earth turns into a demon thing for a bit, but then goes away? And then fish are left behind? Yeah, it's because 38% of the Earth is made of a mineral that's full of it's like umbilical cords. Like it's really hard to make any of this sound sane, so it's almost weird to explain it, because like you're almost more accepting of it without the explanation than with the attempted explanation. You're just like, no, I get it, it's just a crazy video game. But it's like, no, it all has a root to why it's happening, and there's this traced chiralium in the Earth's made. I'm like, no. And like you're gonna tell me that the tar that gets us whenever a boss fight happens is actually physically coming out of the ground via some kind of like conduits all the way down to the mantle or something, as opposed to like just being like, whoa, crazy, some sort of alternate
magic
reality dream state where tar's everywhere now.
Yeah, dude, they should just like not done the scientific approach of explanation.
And 0 paragraph breaks.
Mummies. You want me to read that one?
Sure.
Because it's mummies, so I want to read it.
Mummies.
At what point can it be said that man truly understood what it meant to die? I don't know. It's a deep question.
Probably the first time someone died.
Yeah, you think so.
It's like, shit, he's not moving anymore.
It would seem reasonable to suggest that it was when he began to bury his dead, a practice which originated with the Neanderthals. In a way, one might say that our growing understanding of death drove our development as a species. Our fear of it, our attempts to conquer it, why it could be argued our entire history revolves around these obsessions. Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or the tombs of the ancient emperors of China. The more powerful the person, the bigger and grander their final resting place. Or to posit a more radical theory, could the very concepts of power and society themselves have emerged solely to facilitate the creation of such monuments, such challenges to the finality of death? Either way, in leaving behind something they hoped might endure through the ages, the builders of these edifices believed that they too might live on forever. Yeah, Ozymandias. The mummies of these Egyptians are another means by which man sought to fulfill his desire to escape the finality of death. They were created that the spiritual self, the Ka, would have a physical vessel, or Ha, to which it could return. The Sokun Shin Butsu, or mummified monks of Buddhism, are similar in this respect. However, the monks in question aim to transition straight from life to Buddhahood, in other words, to forego death altogether. But now that the beach has brought us into direct contact with the world beyond, our relationship with death must further evolve. The next stage in our understanding is upon us.
Like, these are so much more interesting.
Yeah, I do like all the cultural.
Whenever there's an anthropological explanation or root that's about the anthropological history of the Death Stranding, or what it means in the context of like our history with relationships and societies and death, and then how the Death Stranding affects that, is
like
all way more interesting.
All of our cultural relationships.
Yeah, because there's actually like a narrative thrust to those ideas.
Yeah, because
as opposed to like breaking down like the nerdy aspect of like, the crust of the Earth is full of the electrolytes.
Our relationship with death has always been like heavily cultural.
It's all
and
powered by midichlorians.
Heavily speculative, because we'll never have a true understanding of death as human beings, and so like the mythological aspects like suit it more, because it's something that isn't, to this day, is not something that is fully explainable via science.
There's way more.
It already has like a anthropological connection that exists. It's easier to link it.
There's way more connection and meaning to be drawn from all the parts that are about mummies and Neanderthals and so on than there is about like explaining pretend umbilical cords and Earth's crust and so on. The Egyptian view of the brain.
Ooh.
Well, they got a few good looks at it when they would just remove it from the body.
And they would stir it like scrambled eggs.
Yeah, and not a great view.
They would like stick the thing up their nose and they'd stir their brains around with a hot rod, and then they would drain out their nose. As a kid, I loved thinking about that.
I'm sure you did.
I did. It's still fun.
It is common nowadays to think of the personality, the mind, of consciousness as a whole, as a phenomena born exclusively of the brain. However, to the ancient Egyptians, things were different. They believed that a person's soul, their spiritual essence, resided in the heart. As a result, the mummification process involved the removal of all internal organs save this one, the brain included. To the Egyptians, the man's ka was represented by and contained within the heart, whereas the ha was made up of other organs and the remainder of the flesh. Hardly a picture compatible with modern medical science. But consider for a moment the BBs which porters utilize in the field, and the brain-dead still mothers to which they are bound. Could it not be said that in turning our attention away from the brain and towards the heart, the womb, the umbilicus, in our quest to grow closer to the world of dead, that we are perhaps returning to the old ways? We haven't spent a lot of time talking about the still mothers, have we?
No.
We kind of sidestepped that whole distressing element.
Yeah. He's implying that we should be asking questions about them and their brains, which is why haven't we done this already? Just saying. Human beings out there.
Well, there's a whole aspect of
why
how
do they have to be brain dead?
They keep talking about how this is all this technology about the BBs and everything is a weird technology we accidentally inherited from people that we don't understand or something, and so nobody knows how it works.
That was banned
which
once.
Is not how technology is supposed to work, but
yeah,
it's very odd.
I made this argument earlier where I was like, why do they have all this really incredibly specific technology that they know nothing about? Because it's so specific. I feel like how are they using it without knowing how it works?
Stupid Egyptians thought the heart had a soul.
Dude, did I ever tell when I was a kid I got in an argument with my classmate in 5th grade about this because she was dissing the Egyptians. And she was like, how ridiculous is it that heart would weigh less than a feather? Because when you get judged by in the underworld, they weigh your heart against the feather, and if your heart weighs less than a feather, which is how it should be if you're honest and truthful and a good person, then your heart will be spared. But if it's heavier, then this little alligator monster will come eat it. That's what happens to you. Sobek is the drools the Nile. It wasn't Sobek. There's one that's a little monster that literally is just there to eat hearts. He's a mix of different things. But no, and I had she said this. She's like, that's so ridiculous. Blah 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 blah. And
even
I was
though it's not the real world.
Well, I was like,
it's the afterlife.
So I was like, but you believe in a talking snake and this boat that all the animals lived on and this flood that lasted 40 days. I was like, you quit dissing other cultures.
And took out the whole world. They're all dead.
Yeah.
The genetic diversity of all of mankind was a family of people that were already related.
Well, I just thought she was just like, that's so stupid. Why are we even learning about this? I'm offended that we're learning about this because I'm a Christian. And I was like, hey, lady, talking snake,
You'll have your turn,
this,
goddamn
Adam and
Eve. It's called the rest of life.
Okay. Don't be talking shit about
Everyone's
the Egyptians.
Have to deal with learning your shit for the
they
rest
were
of their
smart
lives.
people. They invented they didn't actually invent paper. I think China did first. Was papyrus before Chinese version of paper? I don't know. Egyptians were on top of it.
They invent it
They were very smart. Quit dissing them, okay?
They might have invented it separately.
Perhaps. But anyways, that was little me throwing
mad shade at
causing fights.
10-year-old.
A little kid, yeah.
Little shit, I'll kick you.
I don't think we were friends anymore after that.
The corals of the seam.
Okay, I'll read this one. Life began in the oceans, and as it evolved, it graduated to the land. At least this is what was believed until recently. To the creatures of the sea, the land is a harsh and unforgiving place. Given this, what could possibly have compelled these organisms to make such a drastic transition? Consider the fossils of the first fish to adapt themselves to land and have been found in regions with unusually large tidal range. Could it be that these creatures developed legs in order to more swiftly return to the safety of the sea when stranded? Could their evolutionary leap have been triggered by this traumatic experience? If so, could similar circumstances have shaped the evolution of the coral-like organisms that inhabit the seam and driven them to develop an ability to live between life and death, between time and timelessness? Coral is, after all, older than any organism of the land and hardy enough to have weathered the mass extinction of 540 million years ago, and it is a life form upon which many other organisms rely on for survival. Bearing all of this in mind, one could argue that the ability to survive in the seam is indicative of a profound evolutionary leap.
Maybe.
That actually would be pretty evolutionarily hardy to live between life and death. The creatures that figure that out first are going to be doing pretty well. I'll say that right now.
If we just don't have death anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, all the animals on the planet right now get to work. Whoever gets there first is going to be the conqueror of the new world.
There's already a fair number of animals that just don't age.
And also,
but then just die of anything else eventually.
A lot of animals don't really die. Yeah, they don't die of old age, and they almost don't die unless eaten. There's some jellyfish that can keep reverting back to like their...
But is that truly life?
Yeah, I mean, by definition.
Because jellyfish are like completely unthinking, right?
Yeah,
they just kind of...
But thinking isn't...
They're like...
Thinking isn't...
they're almost like a plant.
You don't have to think to be alive by definition of what life is.
Yeah, but it's like... It's disappointing for the people seeking eternal life. To just be a jellyfish, you're like a tree.
Well, some animals don't, I think it's crocodiles that like will just keep existing and getting bigger, and they just eventually die of not being able to feed themselves.
Because they need so much food to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like they just die under like their own
You're gonna starve
existence.
to death.
But like they don't die of old age generally.
That happened in Doctor Who. There was an episode where the spiders kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they would suffocate.
It'd suffocate. They wouldn't get crushed under their own weight.
Nah, the one they went with is that they were so monstrously large, like they were like an entire wall in size, like just giant tarantulas basically, and they were so big that they couldn't breathe anymore.
Oh, that's
sad.
sad.
They just slow down until they died.
But they have book lungs. They should be able to breathe. Tarantulas have lungs on the outside of their body called book lungs.
Repatriates.
So they do a lot of bugs. If you ever want to kill a cockroach, spray it with hairspray, because if you cover up their book lungs, then they can't breathe because their lungs are on the outside of their body. So
their
if you
book lungs?
Yeah, I don't know if they call them book lungs for cockroaches, but the whole point is that they have lungs that you can kind of see from the outside. They breathe through their skin, like quiet. And so if you so if you really want to kill a cockroach, if you just spray it with something sticky,
all we had to do was spray something on Quiet.
Yeah, Quiet would die. Although she can sweat, maybe. So I don't know if that would help. I don't know, whatever. But cockroaches, you cover up their ability to breathe and then they die.
Sweat, maybe.
I don't know how that works. Can she breathe and sweat? She's supposed to be.
I think we only got one explanation.
She's taking in air, but she's also putting out sweat. That seems like that would conflict.
She had two things simultaneously.
What happens if her pores are clogged?
She had two nerdy explanations at once. One was the explanation for why she couldn't wear clothes, and one was why she couldn't talk. It's like, wow, what a character you made.
The perfect woman.
Yeah, you made a woman that can't wear clothes or talk. Okay. I'm sure this explanation will totally make up for that. It didn't.
So,
also, you can elect a costume where she just wears clothes. Well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is she dying? So, honey, what kind of character do you want me to cosplay as for you? Oh, can you be quiet for like a whole day?
Yeah.
I'd be hella offended. I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, I want you to cosplay as this lady that can't wear clothes and also can't speak. Yeah.
That's my dream.
Can you just shut up and wear a bra? And that's it.
Okay.